When this man stumbled across a lost baby horse crying to its mom, there was only one thing that he could do. What happened next will melt your heart. Hello friend, if you enjoy this story, please subscribe and like the video for more amazing stories. It had started as a normal day for the small herd of horses. One of the mares was keeping an eye on her foal as the group moved along, grazing on all of the grass and shrubbery that they came across. The foal was the mare's first baby, and she was incredibly protective of her. She did everything that she could to make sure that her baby was happy and healthy and never in any danger, either from other animals or from people. On this particular day, however, something went drastically wrong. The herd had been grazing like usual. However, it was late in the afternoon and the night was quickly closing in. It was during these dusk hours that the worst possible thing happened. The foal had wandered a short distance away from her mother, trying to gaze on a particularly tasty shrub when all of a sudden a coyote appeared. At first it was just the one, but sure enough more and more started to pop out from behind bushes and little hills, and they headed straight for the foal. Their yellow glowing eyes all showed that they were hungry and looking for an easy meal. Usually coyotes wouldn't attack wild horses as they are much too large and dangerous for the canines to risk fighting. But the foal, being younger and smaller than her mother, was an easy target for the coyotes, and because she had wandered away from the older mare, she found herself cut off by the pack of canines as they stood between her and her mother. Scared and with no other options, the foal neighed to try and attract her mother's attention. As soon as she did this though, the coyotes all began to dart towards her, intent on attacking her. Terrified of the approaching canines, as she knew that she didn't stand a chance in fighting them, the foal turned around and began to run away from the coyotes in the opposite direction of where her mom was grazing. It didn't take long for the mare to hear the commotion as the coyotes chased after her baby, and without any hesitation, the horse charged at the pack of wild canines, ready to protect her foal at all costs. The larger horse kicked and whinnied and reared up in an effort to scare the coyotes off. But by the time that the mare had chased off the majority of the hungry canines, it was too late. Her baby had already run away out of fear. The mother tried calling for the foal, but the baby horse was either too far away to hear her or too scared to come back, thinking that the coyotes would still be there. Instantly, the mare began to panic. She charged around the field, looking desperately for her baby, but she was nowhere to be seen. As the night began to close in, the mare felt frightened that she would never see her baby again. The next day, the mare set off again, traveling out further. The rest of her herd stayed close by her, following and looking for the baby horse as well. Because the foal was part of the herd, all of the horses in the group were equally as invested in getting her back safely. All throughout the day, the mare continually looked for the foal, trying to follow her trail and scent as much as possible. However, as the day dragged on, there was still no sight of the young horse. It was looking hopeless, like the mare would never find her baby. Meanwhile, the foal had managed to survive the night, having outrun the remainder of the coyotes that had gone after her, while the majority of them were scared off by her mother. But because the foal was young, she hadn't had the chance to get to know the lands in which she roamed and the trails that the herd usually stuck to, meaning that she didn't know which direction to take to get back to her herd. Ultimately, she was lost. Starting to panic, the foal began calling out, desperate for her mother to find her. But there was no response. Seeing that no one was coming for her, the foal decided to run off in a random direction, hoping that it would eventually lead her back to the herd and her mother. But as the hours passed by, it slowly became obvious that the direction the foal had chosen wasn't the right one. As night fell once again, the foal was left with no other option but to hunker down behind some bushes and hope that nothing dangerous came and attacked her in the night. Thankfully, the night passed by without incident for both the mare and her foal. With the new day, the foal once again set off, trying to make her way back to her herd. However, instead of the group of horses, the foal instead found something much stranger and unusual. It turned out that the foal had stumbled across a road, more specifically, a highway that cut through the land and fields that the herd liked to travel across. Somehow the foal had managed to find herself on the opposite side of the guardrail on the tarmac of the road. Luckily for the foal, the road, despite being a highway, was still relatively quiet, with hardly any cars passing her by. This greatly reduced her chances of getting hit by a vehicle and getting seriously injured. But now the foal was stuck on the road and unable to get over the guardrail again. With no other options, the foal began walking along the road, sticking close to the guardrail. She would call out every now and then, hoping that her mom would be able to hear her and come help her. As the morning turned into the afternoon, a lone car was driving along the highway. The man inside was on his way home and decided to take the scenic road through the fields, as it was a fairly sunny day and he thought the journey would be nice. However, as the man was driving, he suddenly saw a strange shape in the road in front of him. Noticing that the shape was moving, the man quickly understood that it was an animal, and after getting a little bit closer to the creature, the man was able to see that it was a foal. Being an animal lover, the man knew that if he simply drove by and left the foal on the road, then it could possibly end up getting injured or worse if another car came speeding by. So with this in mind, the man pulled over as close as he could to the foal without scaring it and got out of his car. He then began making his way over to the young horse, but upon approaching the animal, she began to get nervous and backed away from him. Seeing that it would take a bit of time to get the foal to trust him, the man stayed still and gently called out to the horse. After a quick scan around the area, the helpful stranger was concerned when he couldn't see the foal's herd. He knew that without her mother, the young horse likely wouldn't last much longer on her own, and he didn't feel comfortable simply leaving the young horse all on her own. However, as the man gently called out to the foal, something incredible happened. From over a small hill, a group of horses came trotting towards the man, but it was the mare in the front of the herd who looked to be the most energetic and excited. The larger horse quickly approached the guardrail, but upon seeing the man standing close by, she stopped and watched him wearily. However, the foal suddenly became very excited. She instantly recognized her mother and began calling out to her excitedly. Seeing to get as close to her mom as possible, the foal then approached the guardrail. The mother horse, overcome with relief to see her baby alive and well, quickly approached the guardrail as well and stood next to her baby. In an effort to get back to her mom, the foal tried to jump over the railing on her own, but she was unfortunately unsuccessful. Despite the happy scene of the mother and her baby reuniting, they still had one more obstacle to clear, the metal railing that separated the road from the field and the mom from her baby. Seeing that the foal still needed help, the man knew that it was up to him to lend a hand. However, things had just gotten a lot more dangerous. With the arrival of the mother horse and the rest of the herd, the man now had to be careful that none of the larger equine animals tried to hurt him. Like all new moms, the mother horse would be extremely protective of her baby, especially after losing her for the last few days, so she would be wary of letting anyone close to her even if they were only trying to help. In addition to that, while the foal couldn't get over the metal barrier, that didn't mean the mother horse wouldn't be able to. Being much larger and used to jumping and traversing difficult terrain, the mother horse could easily jump over the railing and onto the road, putting the man in a very dangerous situation. The only reason she hadn't so far was because she was still wary of the stranger and he hadn't made any moves to hurt her baby. Without an idea of what to do, the man stood back and watched as the foal and her mother paced up and down the road on either side of the barrier. He knew that he couldn't let them stay separated for much longer, so with no other plan in mind, the man decided to approach the foal. If the mother horse had a problem with this, well, the man would deal with that issue when it arose. At first, the foal quickly walked away from the man, scared of the strange creature coming towards it. But the man was quick on his feet and knew that he would simply have to be brave and get the foal as quickly as he could. Any hesitation could be dangerous. While the man was getting the foal, the person he had been traveling with, who had stayed in the car up until that point, wary of getting hurt by a wild horse, began filming the encounter. The passenger was able to capture the moment when his friend quickly grabbed the foal, his arms enclosing her with one holding her at the front around her chest and the second arm supporting her weight and holding her back legs. The man actually picked the horse up like a professional, despite never having done this in his entire life before. Amazingly, the foal didn't even put up much of a fight. It was almost as if the foal understood that the person was trying to help her and she didn't want to hurt him in the process. Even the foal's mother took a few steps away from the railing as if to reassure the man that she wasn't going to try and hurt him if he got closer. With the heavy foal in his arms, the man then began lifting her up and over the metal barrier. At first, the man struggled to get the young horse over the railing, with the animal's hooves getting caught on the metal. But with another big lift and a shuffle forward, the man was able to get the foal over the barrier and let her go back to her mom. The moment when the two horses were reunited was one filled with relief and love. Both the mom and her foal were incredibly grateful to be together once again, with both of them healthy and injury-free. As the man watched the reunion, he couldn't help but feel his heart brimming with happiness and a profound sense of fulfillment. He had witnessed a powerful testament to the unbreakable bond between a mother and her child, and he knew that his actions had played a small but significant role in their reunion. It was a moment he would cherish forever. With the foal safely back with the herd, the group of horses quickly began running across the field and away from the highway. The man watched them until he could no longer see them. He then got back into his car and made his way back home. Once back at his house though, the man's friend decided to upload the heartwarming moment when the man helped the foal onto YouTube, where it quickly went viral. The video seemed to touch the hearts of people all over YouTube. Since then, the man went back to the highway and the subsequent fields that surrounded it to see if he could find the mother horse and her foal again. Luckily, the herd of horses seemed to like staying in that particular area, so the man was able to find them relatively easily. From then on, he decided to keep a watchful eye on the horses, and the foal in particular, as he wanted to make sure that nothing bad happened to her again. The baby horse and its mother thrived under the man's watchful eye, and while the man made sure never to get too close to the herd, as they still were wild animals after all, and very dangerous, he would sometimes throw the foal and her mother small treats, such as apples. As the years went by, the man stopped visiting the horses as much. However, he was happy to see when the foal finally grew up into a beautiful mare, just like her mother. Seeing that the foal had been able to grow up into a healthy and happy horse, the man felt as if his mission was complete. He had kept a watchful eye over the horses, particularly the foal, while it was growing, and now that she was old enough and big enough to look after herself, the man felt as if he no longer had to keep an eye on them. On the last day that he went to visit the herd, the man sat and watched them graze for a few hours. Then as he was going to leave, the foal, who was now a fully grown horse, looked up at him and gently made. It was as if she knew that he wouldn't be back, and she was thanking him for helping her all of those years ago, and for keeping an eye on her ever since then. The man smiled and teared up a little bit, unable to believe what had just happened. He never would have thought that the horse would come to love and care for him the same way that he did for her. Reluctantly, the man wished the mare and her herd well and left for his car. While it was a difficult decision, he knew it was for the best. The horses were still wild, and even though he had built a small bond with one, they were still incredibly dangerous creatures who were best left alone to roam the wilds. And even though he hasn't been there since, the man knows that the herd is doing well, and that the foal he saved probably has her own foal now, who she cares for and loves. And that thought alone made the man's effort of rescuing her all of those years ago worth it. What an incredible story! It just goes to show that looking after and caring for the other animals of the world can really help better your own life, as it leaves you feeling happy and proud that you were able to make their lives better as well. What do you think about this story? Thank you for watching this video, and if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.